When Kaiser first appeared on the steps of St. Mary's Hospital in Portland, Oregon, nobody could have imagined the miracle that was about to unfold. This wasn't just any stray dog seeking shelter from the October rain. This was a German shepherd on a mission that would defy every law of science and touch hearts around the world. For 3 days and 3 nights, Kaiser maintained a vigil that left doctors, nurses, and reporters speechless. He refused food. He ignored the cold. He wouldn't move from his chosen spot, no matter how many people tried to help him. His dark, intelligent eyes stayed fixed on those hospital doors, as if he was waiting for someone very specific to emerge. But when that someone finally appeared, the reunion revealed a truth so extraordinary that it changed everything we thought. We knew about love, loyalty, and the bonds that connect all living things. The person who walked out of St. Mary's Hospital wasn't just Kaiser's owner. They were part of a story that proves some connections are stronger than death itself. This is that story. The morning fog rolled off the Columbia River like a gray blanket, wrapping around St. Mary's Hospital in Portland, Oregon. Through the mist, a large German shepherd sat perfectly still on the concrete steps. His name was Kaiser, though the hospital workers didn't know that yet. Kaiser's golden brown coat was wet from the October drizzle. Water droplets clung to his thick fur, but he didn't shake them off. He didn't move at all. His dark, smart eyes were fixed on the glass doors of the hospital entrance. Nurse Janet Rodriguez was the first to notice him when she arrived for her 6 o'clock shift. She had worked at St. Mary's for 12 years and had never seen a dog just sitting there like that. "Well, hello there, big guy," she said softly, but Kaiser didn't look at her. His eyes stayed on those doors. By 7:30, when Dr. Sarah Martinez arrived, 3 more nurses had tried to get the dog's attention. None had succeeded. "How long has he been there?" Dr. Martinez asked, pulling her rain jacket tighter. "Janet saw him at 6, but security guard Tom thinks he's been there since yesterday," replied Nurse Patricia, sipping her coffee. "Tom tried to move him twice, but the dog just comes back to this exact spot." Dr. Martinez studied the German shepherd. This wasn't a scared stray dog. His coat was clean and well brushed under the rain. A faded red collar circled his thick neck. His muscles showed he ate regular meals and got plenty of exercise. Most telling were his eyes, not wild or fearful like an abandoned animal, but focused and determined, like a soldier on duty. "He's waiting for someone," she said quietly. Kaiser's ears moved at every sound. When the automatic doors whooshed open, his head tilted slightly. When wheelchairs squeaked past, his eyes tracked them. When families hurried through the entrance with worried faces, he watched them carefully, but he never moved from his spot. By noon, patients on the second floor were pressing their faces to windows, pointing at the loyal dog below. Someone took a picture and posted it online with the words, "This dog has been sitting outside St. Mary's Hospital all morning. Who is he waiting for?" The post was shared 50 times in the first hour. Mike Chen from Channel 8 News arrived with his camera crew just after lunch. He had seen the growing buzz on social media and knew a good story when he saw one. "This is Mike Chen reporting from St. Mary's Hospital," he announced to his camera, "where this beautiful German shepherd has kept what can only be called a vigil for over 24 hours now." Behind him, Kaiser sat motionless, like a statue carved from stone. "Hospital workers tell me they've never seen anything like it," Mike continued. "The dog won't eat, won't leave, and won't let anyone move him. He just sits and waits." As if on new cue, Kaiser's ears perked up as an ambulance wailed in the distance. His head turned toward the sound, then back to the doors. always back to the doors. The afternoon brought colder air and heavier rain. James, a kind orderly from the cafeteria, couldn't stand watching the dog get soaked anymore. He brought out a bowl of fresh water and some leftover turkey from lunch. "Come on, boy," James said gently, setting the food down. "You've got to be hungry." Kaiser looked at him with those intelligent brown eyes, as if saying, "Thank you." He drank the water gratefully but only sniffed at the food. Then he settled back into position, his gaze returning to the entrance. "There's someone in there you're waiting for, isn't there?" James whispered. If dogs could nod, Kaiser would have. As evening shadows grew longer, the October air turned bitter cold. Rain became sleet, tapping against the concrete like tiny hammers. But Kaiser didn't move. He sat straight and alert, every muscle ready, every sense focused on that entrance. Dr. Martinez found herself checking on him between patients. There was something about his unwavering devotion that touched her heart in a way she couldn't explain. "Dogs don't just sit outside hospitals for no reason," she told Dr. Robert Kim as they watched Kaiser from the break room window. "He knows. Someone is in there," Dr. Kim nodded. "But who?" "We've checked our patient database. No German Shepherd owners currently admitted." As night fell, security guard Tom Rodriguez made his rounds. He had tried to move Kaiser twice yesterday and felt bad about it now. There was something special about this dog, something that made you want to protect him instead of chase him away. "Make sure he's got fresh water," Tom told his evening crew. "And if anyone bothers him, you call me right away." The first night was hard. Temperatures dropped into the 30s, and the sleet never stopped. But Kaiser remained at his post, shivering, but steadfast. Whatever, or whoever, he was waiting for was worth any amount of suffering. His vigil had only just begun. Day 2 brought more questions and no answers. Kaiser sat in the same spot, like he had grown roots in the concrete. The October morning was gray and cold, but the German Shepherd's eyes were as bright and alert as ever. Animal Control Officer Lisa Thompson arrived at 8 o'clock with her partner, Rick. They had gentle voices and soft hands, but Kaiser was too smart to be fooled. "Come here, boy," Lisa called, holding out her hand. "We've got a nice warm truck and some treats." Kaiser looked at her politely, then back at the hospital. Doors. When Rick tried to loop a catch pole around his neck, the dog simply moved 3 steps to the left. Not running, not scared, just staying out of reach. "He's not aggressive," Lisa reported to her boss over the radio. "But he won't budge. It's like he's glued to this spot." "Any idea who owns him?" the supervisor asked. "Working on it. But this dog has a job to do, and he's not leaving until it's done." Dr. Martinez had worked at St. Mary's for 15 years. She had seen everything. Heart attacks, car crashes, babies being born. But she had never seen anything like Kaiser. Between surgeries, she found herself bringing him fresh water and checking on him. "You're something special, aren't you?" she said, kneeling beside him. Kaiser's tail wagged once, but his eyes never left the entrance. During her lunch break, Dr. Martinez went to the hospital computer and searched for dog owners. 3 patients currently had German Shepherds at home. She called all 3 families. "Is your dog missing?" she asked each one. "No, Buddy's right here," said the first family. "Rex is sleeping on the couch," said the second. "Princess is in the backyard," said the third. So Kaiser didn't belong to any current patient. The mystery was getting deeper. By afternoon, Channel 8's story had gone viral. The video of Kaiser sitting perfectly still while rain fell around him had been shared thousands of times. People were calling him Portland's most loyal dog and the hospital guardian. Hoi 6. News sent their own crew. The Oregonian newspaper wanted pictures. Soon, the hospital parking lot looked like a circus, with news vans and reporters everywhere. "This is getting out of hand," complained hospital administrator Margaret Foster from her office window. "We need to get that dog out of here." But the public was on Kaiser's side. A Facebook page called Kaiser's Vigil had gained 20,000 followers in one day. People were driving from Seattle and San Francisco just to see him. Local veterinarian Dr. Amanda Richards volunteered to check Kaiser's health. She examined him right there on the hospital steps because he refused to move. "He's in excellent condition," she announced to the gathered crowd. "Well-fed, good muscle tone, about 4 years old. This is definitely not a stray." Then Dr. Richards found something important: a microchip under Kaiser's skin. She scanned it with her special reader, and her eyes got wide. "This chip belongs to someone named Elena Vasquez," she said. "The address is here in Portland, and the chip was put in 3 years ago." Hospital workers immediately searched their computer for Elena Vasquez. What they found made everyone go quiet. Elena Vasquez had been a patient at St. Mary's, but she had died in a car accident 8 months ago. The news hit the crowd like a punch. If Kaiser's owner was dead, why was he here? Why now? The mystery had taken a sad turn, but it still didn't explain anything. Dr. Martinez felt like a detective now. During her dinner break, she looked up Elena's medical records. Elena had been 34 years old and worked as a nurse in the emergency room. She had worked at St. Mary's Hospital for 6 years before she died. "She worked here," Dr. Martinez whispered to herself. "That's why he knows this place." But even this discovery didn't solve the puzzle. If Kaiser was just missing his dead owner's workplace, why hadn't he come here sooner? Why wait 8 months? Why come now? Portland's mayor, Ted Wheeler, came to see Kaiser that evening. The sight of the loyal German shepherd, now surrounded by flowers and cards from strangers, made the mayor's eyes water. "This dog shows us the best part of being human," he told the reporters. "His love and loyalty should inspire all of us." As the second day ended, Kaiser's health worried the doctors watching him. 3 days outside in cold rain was hard on any animal. His breathing was a little slower, and he seemed tired. "We need to get him inside," Dr. Richards urged the hospital bosses. "Just for tonight. He can't survive much more of this weather." But Kaiser seemed to know something the humans didn't. As night fell, he became more alert, not less. His ears moved more often. His eyes tracked every person going in and out of the hospital with new interest. Something was about to happen. Kaiser could feel it. The German shepherd shifted his weight and sat up straighter. His nose twitched, catching scents on the wind that humans couldn't smell. His whole body tensed, like a spring ready to bounce. After 48 hours of perfect stillness, Kaiser was ready to move. But not yet. Not quite yet. His internal clock, more accurate than any watch, told him to wait just a little longer. The person he was waiting for was close now, very close. Kaiser's vigil was almost over. The third morning brought something nobody expected: a media circus. News trucks lined the street in front of St. Mary's Hospital. Reporters from Seattle, San Francisco, and even Los Angeles had driven through the night to cover the story of the mysterious German shepherd. "This is crazy," Hospital Administrator Margaret Foster said, watching the crowds from her office window. "We have patients to care for, and this zoo is making it impossible." But the public loved Kaiser. His Facebook page, Kaiser's Vigil, now had over 100,000 followers. People were posting pictures of their own dogs with messages like, "Stay strong, Kaiser," and "We believe in you." Local businesses started bringing supplies. Starbucks delivered free coffee for the reporters. Fred Meyer donated blankets and dog food. Even Portland's famous food trucks lined up outside the hospital, turning Kaiser's Vigil into a street festival. Channel 8's Mike Chen had been covering the story since day one. "I've never seen anything like this," he told his producer. "People are calling in sick to work just to come see this dog. Teachers are bringing entire school classes here for field trips." The crowd grew bigger by the hour. Families with children pointed at Kaiser and whispered about his loyalty. Elderly couples sat on folding chairs, watching and waiting with him. Teenagers took selfies, but respectfully, from a distance. Dr. Amanda Richards, the veterinarian who had examined Kaiser, returned with more equipment. She was worried about the German Shepherd's health after 3 days in the cold. "Let me check. You again, big guy," she said gently. This time, Kaiser let her examine him more thoroughly. She listened to his heart, checked his eyes, and felt his joints. The crowd watched in silence, afraid of what she might find. "He's tired, but he's strong," Dr. Richards announced. "This dog has incredible willpower. His body is running on pure determination." The examination revealed something new. Kaiser's microchip information had been updated recently. Dr. Richards scanned it again and frowned. "That's strange," she said to Dr. Martinez. "The chip still shows Elena Vasquez as the owner, but there's a new address listed. An apartment complex on the east side of Portland." Dr. Martinez felt her heart skip. "When was it updated?" 3 days ago. The same day Kaiser showed up here. The timing was impossible to ignore. Someone had updated a dead woman's information on the same day her dog began his vigil. But who? And why? Security Chief Tom Rodriguez was already making phone calls. "We need to check that address," he told his team. "Something weird is going on here." Meanwhile, Kaiser's behavior was changing. He still sat in the same spot, still watched the doors, but his body language was different. More alert, more ready, like a runner waiting for the starting gun. "He knows something we don't," observed Nurse Janet, who had been watching Kaiser since day one. "Look at his ears. Look at his eyes. He's expecting someone." The crowd noticed it too. Camera phones came out as people sensed that Kaiser's long wait might be ending soon. Dr. Martinez couldn't concentrate on her patients. Every few minutes, she found herself checking on Kaiser through the windows. The dog's intensity was growing, stronger, and it was affecting everyone around him. "Dogs can sense things we can't," she told Dr. Kim during their afternoon break. "Changes in air pressure, chemical smells, even emotions. Kaiser is picking up on something." At 3 o'clock, something unexpected happened. A taxi pulled up to the hospital entrance. Not unusual. Taxis came and went all day. But Kaiser's reaction was immediate and dramatic. The German Shepherd stood up for the first time in 3 days. The crowd gasped. Cameras clicked. News reporters started talking excitedly into their microphones. But the taxi door opened and an elderly man got out. Kaiser watched him carefully, then slowly sat back down. "False alarm. He's looking for someone specific," Dr. Richards observed. "Not just anyone, someone special." The afternoon brought more visitors. A group of children from Roosevelt Elementary arrived with their teacher, Mrs. Patterson. They had been following Kaiser's story in class and wanted to see him in person. "Why is he waiting?" asked 7-year-old Emma. "Because dogs love deeper than we can imagine," Mrs. Patterson explained. "Kaiser's heart is telling him to wait." so he waits. The children stood quietly, respecting Kaiser's vigil. One little boy, Marcus, stepped forward with a drawing he had made. It showed a German shepherd sitting by a building with hearts floating around him. "This is for you, Kaiser," Marcus said softly, placing the picture near the dog. Kaiser looked at the boy and, for the first time in 3 days, his tail wagged. Just once, but it was enough to make the crowd smile. As evening approached, the October air grew colder again. But this time, the community was ready. Volunteers had set up heaters around Kaiser's area. Someone brought a small tent to protect him from the wind. The Portland Police Department sent officers to help manage the crowds. "We've never seen community support like this," said Officer Sarah Chen. "People are coming together for this dog in a way that gives you hope for humanity." Dr. Martinez stayed late that night, watching Kaiser from the hospital lobby. The German shepherd's eyes never stopped moving, scanning every face, every vehicle, every shadow. "Who are you waiting for?" she whispered. As if he heard her, Kaiser turned his head toward the lobby window where she stood. Their eyes met through the glass, and Dr. Martinez felt a chill run down her spine. Kaiser's eyes seemed to say, "You'll know soon, very soon." Then he turned back to the entrance, his vigil continuing into the third night. The answer was coming. The third evening brought an unexpected visitor to St. Mary's Hospital. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stepped out of a yellow cab, pulling her suitcase behind her. She was supposed to start her new job as a heart surgeon on Monday, but paperwork problems had brought her in early. As her taxi pulled away, she noticed the unusual crowd of people and news trucks. "What's all this about?" she asked the driver before he left. "Some dog's been sitting out there for 3 days," he replied. "Whole city's talking about it. Pretty amazing story." Dr. Rodriguez paid little attention to the commotion. Her mind was focused on the big career move ahead of her. She had just finished a fellowship at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore and was excited to start her new life in Portland. But as she walked toward the hospital entrance, something extraordinary happened. Kaiser, who had barely moved in 72 hours, suddenly stood up. His tail began to wag, slowly at first, then faster and faster. A low whine escaped his throat, the first sound he had made since arriving. The gathered crowd fell completely silent. Even the reporters stopped talking. Everyone watched in amazement as the German shepherd took his first steps away from his post. But he didn't run away. Instead, he walked directly toward Dr. Rodriguez, positioning himself right in her path. "Oh my goodness," she gasped, dropping her suitcase. Kaiser. The reunion was like magic. Kaiser jumped up, putting his huge paws on her shoulders and nearly knocking her over. His tail wagged so hard his whole body wiggled. He covered her face with kisses, whining and barking with pure joy. The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. People were crying, hugging each other, taking pictures and videos. It was the most beautiful thing anyone had ever seen. "I don't understand," Dr. Rodriguez said through her tears, hugging the massive dog. "How did you know I was coming here? I left you with Grandma Carmen in Phoenix 3 days ago." Dr. Martinez rushed outside, her mind racing with questions. "Excuse me, but do you know this dog?" "Know him?" Dr. Rodriguez laughed through her tears. "Kaiser is my dog, but I left him with my grandmother in Arizona when I drove up here. How is he even here?" The mystery had just gotten much deeper. Phoenix, Arizona, was over 1,400 miles away. How could a dog travel that far in 3 days? Within an hour, Dr. Rodriguez's grandmother, Carmen, arrived on an emergency flight from Phoenix. Her face was pale with worry and exhaustion. Been searching for him for 3 days, Carmen explained to the gathered crowd. He disappeared from my backyard the same morning Elena left for Portland. We looked everywhere, called every animal shelter, posted flyers all over the city, drove through every neighborhood. She pulled out her phone, showing pictures of the missing dog posters they had put up all over Phoenix. It's like he just vanished into thin air. The crowd pressed closer, trying to understand how this miracle had happened. Camera crews pushed forward, recording every word. "Ma'am, are you saying this dog traveled 1,400 miles in 3 days?" asked Mike Chen from Channel 8. "That's impossible," said Dr. Richards, shaking her head. "A dog can't travel that distance on foot in 3 days. The math doesn't work." But Kaiser's presence was proof that impossible things sometimes happen. The German Shepherd stayed close to Dr. Rodriguez, as if afraid she might disappear again. Carmen told the reporters about Kaiser's strange behavior before he disappeared. He was restless that last day, pacing around the yard, whining at the gate. It was like he knew something was wrong. Dr. Rodriguez held Kaiser close, still trying to process what had happened. "I never told him about this hospital," she said. "I barely knew which hospital I'd be working at myself. The final assignment only came through 2 weeks ago." The crowd murmured in amazement. How could a dog find his way to a place he had never been? To a hospital his owner had never mentioned? "Dogs have incredible senses," Dr. Martinez said, thinking out loud. "They can smell things from miles away, remember routes they've only traveled once. But this," she shook her head, "this is beyond anything science can explain." As the evening wore on, investigators began trying to piece together Kaiser's journey. They called truck stops, rest areas, and animal shelters along the route from Phoenix to Portland. The first clue came from a truck driver named Bill Morrison. "Yeah, I remember that dog," he told reporters over the phone. "Big German Shepherd. Jumped right into my cab at a truck stop in Flagstaff. Seemed like he knew exactly where he wanted to go." Bill said he had tried to find the dog's owner at several stops along his route to Portland. "But every time I let him out, he'd disappear. Then I'd see him again miles down the road, like he was ahead of me somehow." More reports started coming in. A family from Sacramento said Kaiser had ridden with them for several hours. A gas station attendant in Medford, Oregon, remembered seeing a German Shepherd near the highway. "It's like he planned the whole trip," said Dr. Rodriguez, amazed. "Like he somehow knew exactly how to get here." The crowd was growing even bigger as word spread about Kaiser's reunion. People wanted to witness what many were calling a miracle. Local churches announced special prayer services. Animal shelters reported a surge in adoption applications. "Kaiser represents something we all need to believe in," said Father Michael Santos from St. Patrick's Cathedral. "In a world full of uncertainty, here's proof that love can overcome any obstacle." As night fell on the third day, Kaiser finally relaxed completely. For the first time since his vigil began, he lay down, resting his head on Dr. Rodriguez's lap. But the biggest mystery was still unsolved. How had Kaiser known exactly where to find her? The answer would shock everyone. As the media frenzy grew bigger, investigators worked like detectives to solve Kaiser's impossible journey. Phone calls came in from across the Southwest. Security cameras were checked. Social media posts were searched. Slowly, the pieces of Kaiser's amazing trip began to fit together. The first real clue came from a truck stop in Flagstaff, Arizona. Security footage showed Kaiser approaching different trucks, like he was choosing which one to ride with. The video was grainy, but it clearly showed the German Shepherd jumping into driver Bill Morrison's cab. "He looked right at me through the windshield," Bill told reporters. like he was asking for a ride. I've been driving trucks for 20 years, and I've never seen anything like it. Bill said Kaiser rode with him for over 300 miles. Smart dog. He sat in the passenger seat like he'd done it 1,000 times. When I stopped for gas, he'd jump out, do his business, and jump right back in. But the strangest part came near Bend, Oregon. I stopped at a rest area for a nap. Bill explained. When I woke up, Kaiser was gone. I looked everywhere for him, felt terrible about losing him. The next piece of the puzzle came from the Walsh family from Sacramento. Jennifer Walsh and her 2 kids had been driving to Portland for a wedding when they spotted Kaiser at a gas station. He was just sitting there by our car when we came out of the store, Jennifer said. The kids begged me to help him, so we opened the door and he jumped right in. Kaiser rode with the Walsh family for the final 200 miles to Portland. He was the sweetest dog, said 8-year-old Tommy Walsh. He put his head on my lap and slept most of the way. But just like with Bill Morrison, Kaiser disappeared when they reached Portland. We stopped for gas near the airport, Jennifer explained. When we turned around, he was gone. We searched for an hour, but couldn't find him. The final piece came from Portland International Airport. Baggage handler Marcus Johnson remembered seeing a German Shepherd near the cargo area 3 days earlier. I thought he'd escaped from a shipping crate, Marcus said. I tried to catch him, but he ran toward the city. That dog moved like he had somewhere important to be. Dr. Martinez worked with Portland police to map Kaiser's route on a big bulletin board. Red pins showed each confirmed sighting. The timeline was incredible. Kaiser had covered 1,400 miles in less than 72 hours. There's no way to explain this scientifically, Dr. Martinez told the gathered reporters. Dogs don't have GPS systems. They can't plan trips across multiple states. But animal behavior expert Dr. Patricia Summers had flown in from UC Davis to study Kaiser's case. She offered a different view. We're just beginning to understand how deep the bond between humans and dogs really is, Dr. Summers explained. There are documented cases of dogs showing what we call psi-trailing, the ability to find their owners across impossible distances. She pulled out research files showing other amazing dog journeys. A dog named Bobby traveled 2,500 miles from Indiana to Oregon in 1923. A collie named Shep walked 300 miles through the Scottish Highlands to find his owner in 1954. But Kaiser's case was different because he had found his owner at a place she had never been before. Dr. Rodriguez confirmed she had never mentioned St. Mary's Hospital around Kaiser. I didn't even know which hospital I'd be working at until 2 weeks ago, she said. And Kaiser was already in Phoenix with my grandmother by then. The mystery deepened when they discovered something else. Dr. Rodriguez hadn't just randomly been assigned to St. Mary's Hospital. She had specifically requested to work there after reading about their heart transplant program. I wanted to work with the best cardiac team in the Pacific Northwest, she explained. St. Mary's has the most successful heart surgery program in Oregon. Dr. Martinez felt a chill when she heard this. Something about heart transplants and St. Mary's felt important, but she couldn't figure out why. That evening, as the crowd finally began to thin out, Kaiser seemed completely content for the first time in days. He lay beside Dr. Rodriguez in the hospital lobby, his massive head resting on her feet. "You're amazing, boy," she whispered, scratching behind his ears. "But how did you know? How did you possibly know where to find me?" Kaiser looked up at her, with those intelligent brown eyes, as if he wanted to tell her something but couldn't find the words. Dr. Martinez approached them with a cup of coffee and a sandwich. "Mind if I sit with you? It's been quite a day." As they sat together in the quiet lobby, Dr. Rodriguez shared more about Kaiser's history. "I adopted him from a shelter in Tucson 3 years ago. He was the last puppy left. too small, too quiet. They were going to... She couldn't finish the sentence. From the first day, Kaiser was special, she continued. He seemed to understand things other dogs couldn't. He always knew when I was coming home from work, even when my schedule changed. Dr. Martinez listened carefully. There was something about this story that felt important. Kaiser used to wait outside every hospital where I worked during medical school and residency, Dr. Rodriguez said. The security guards all knew him. He had this internal clock that amazed everyone. He'd show up exactly 15 minutes before my shift ended. This revelation made Dr. Martinez sit up straighter. You mean Kaiser has done this before? Waited outside hospitals? At every hospital where I've ever worked, Dr. Rodriguez confirmed. Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, University Medical Center in Tucson, Phoenix General during my residency. He somehow always knew exactly when I was coming out. The pieces were starting to connect, but the full picture was still hidden. Kaiser's vigil at St. Mary's wasn't new behavior. It was what he had always done. But this time was different. This time, he had traveled 1,400 miles to do it, and somehow he had known exactly which hospital to find. The biggest revelation was still coming. As Kaiser's story spread around the world, scientists flew to Portland to study the amazing German Shepherd. Dr. Rupert Sheldrake came all the way from England. He was famous for studying how animals could do impossible things. This case shows us something we call morphic resonance, Dr. Sheldrake explained to the reporters. It means there are invisible connections between living things that we don't understand yet. But other scientists weren't so sure. Dr. James Burton from Stanford University had a different idea. While this story is amazing, we can probably explain it with science, he said. Dogs have super powerful noses and can smell things from very far away. Plus, Kaiser got lucky and found helpful people. Dr. Rodriguez found herself in the middle of a big scientific argument she never wanted to be part of. I just wanted to start my new job, she laughed, sitting in the hospital cafeteria with Kaiser lying at her feet. I never thought I'd become a science experiment. The bond between Dr. Rodriguez and Kaiser was obvious to everyone who saw them. As she told reporters about their history together, people began to understand how special their relationship really was. Kaiser had been rescued from a shelter in Tucson when Dr. Rodriguez was finishing her medical training. He was the smallest puppy in the litter, she remembered, scratching behind his ears. All the other puppies had been adopted, but Kaiser was too little and too quiet. She paused, her voice getting soft. The shelter worker told me they were going to put him to sleep the next day because nobody wanted him. From that first day, Kaiser had been more than just a pet. He had been Dr. Rodriguez's best friend through the hardest years of her life. Medical school was brutal. Residency was worse. The fellowship at Johns Hopkins meant working 36 hours straight sometimes. He would sit outside the hospital during my long shifts, Dr. Rodriguez remembered. The security guards all knew him by name. He had this amazing internal clock. He always showed up exactly 15 minutes before my shift ended, even when my schedule changed at the last minute. This news shocked Dr. Martinez. Wait, you mean Kaiser has done this before? Sat outside? Hospitals waiting for you? Dr. Rodriguez nodded. At every single hospital where I've ever worked. University Medical Center in Tucson, Phoenix General during residency, Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. He somehow always knew exactly when I was coming. Out! Dr. Martinez felt goosebumps on her arms. But how? How could he possibly know your schedule? That's what amazed everyone, Dr. Rodriguez said. Even when I had to stay late for emergencies, or when I got called in early, Kaiser would adjust his timing perfectly. The other doctors used to joke that Kaiser was a better timekeeper than their watches. Animal behavior expert Dr. Patricia Summers was documenting everything for what would become a famous research study. Kaiser's brain scans show unusual activity in areas that control memory and emotion, she reported. It's like his brain has been rewired by years of caring for his owner. The hospital's chaplain, Father Miguel Santos, had a simpler explanation. "Science tries to explain miracles," he told the crowd during a blessing ceremony for Kaiser. "But sometimes we just need to accept that love is more powerful than we understand." As the day went on, Kaiser seemed to relax for the first time since his vigil began. He lay peacefully at Dr. Rodriguez's feet, letting out a deep, happy sigh. Many people in the crowd started to leave, wiping tears from their eyes. But then something unexpected happened that would change everything. A hospital security guard approached Dr. Martinez with a worried look on his face. "Doctor, you need to see something," Guard Captain Rodriguez said quietly. He was holding a thick folder full of papers. Inside the folder were security photos taken over the past 3 days. Pictures that had been missed in all the excitement about Kaiser's vigil. The photos showed someone in medical scrubs visiting Kaiser during the night shifts, someone who had been very careful to avoid the main security cameras. "Who is this person?" Dr. Martinez asked, studying the blurry pictures. "That's what we need to figure out," Captain Rodriguez said. "Whoever it is has been bringing Kaiser food and water when nobody else was around. They know how to get around our security system." The mystery person appeared to be a hospital worker based on how easily they moved through restricted areas, but the pictures were too unclear to see their face clearly. Dr. Martinez felt a cold chill run down her spine. Something about this discovery felt very important, though she couldn't say why. She decided to investigate more by checking security, records, and employee work schedules. Meanwhile, Kaiser's reunion with Dr. Rodriguez continued to amaze everyone watching. But some careful observers noticed something strange about the German Shepherd's behavior. While he was clearly happy to see Dr. Rodriguez, Kaiser kept looking toward the hospital entrance, like his job wasn't completely finished yet. "He keeps staring at the doors," noted Dr. Richards, who had been watching Kaiser all day. "It's almost like he's still waiting for someone else." This worried Dr. Rodriguez. "That's not normal for him," she admitted. "When Kaiser finds me, he usually focuses completely on me. He's acting like his mission isn't over yet." Inside the hospital, Dr. Martinez was making a disturbing discovery. The security records showed that the mystery person had used an employee badge to get into the building. But when she looked up the badge number, she got a shock. This badge was turned off 8 months ago, the security chief reported. "It belonged to Elena Vasquez," Dr. Martinez whispered, her voice barely audible. "The original Elena, the nurse who had died in the car accident 8 months earlier. But that was impossible." Dr. Martinez checked the records 3 times, but there was no mistake. The badge used to enter the hospital had belonged to a dead woman. As this shocking news sank in, Dr. Martinez noticed something else in the security footage. The mystery person wasn't just feeding Kaiser. They were talking to him, giving him what looked like instructions or commands. "We need to check the morgue records immediately," Dr. Martinez told Captain Rodriguez urgently. "I want to see Elena Vasquez's file again, right now." What they discovered next would send shockwaves through the entire hospital and reveal the truth behind Kaiser's impossible vigil. The real reason Kaiser had traveled 1,400 miles was about to be revealed, and it was more amazing than anyone could have imagined. Dr. Martinez's hands shook as she opened Elena Vasquez's morgue file. What she found inside made her heart stop. Elena Vasquez's body had never been claimed after her death 8 months ago. She had no family listed in her employee records, no emergency contacts. Her body was still in the hospital's cold storage, waiting for final burial arrangements. But there was something else, something that had been buried in paperwork and forgotten during the chaos after Elena's death. She had made a special request before the car accident, a request written in her own handwriting and signed just 2 weeks before she died. "If anything ever happens to me," the note read, "please make sure someone takes care of the German shepherds at the downtown animal shelter. They need love more than anything else." Dr. Martinez's eyes filled with tears as she read the rest of the note. Elena Vasquez had spent every weekend at the animal shelter working with abandoned dogs. She had a special gift with German shepherds who had been hurt or neglected. "She saved dozens of dogs over the years," whispered the records clerk who had found the file. The shelter workers said she could calm any dog, no matter how scared or angry they were. But the most shocking discovery was yet to come. Dr. Martinez checked Elena's volunteer records at the downtown animal shelter. What she found made her sit down hard in her chair. Kaiser had been one of Elena's dogs. According to the shelter records, Elena Vasquez had rescued Kaiser from the streets when he was just 6 months old. She had worked with him for over a year, helping him recover from neglect and abuse. She had trained him, loved him, and prepared him for adoption. And 2 weeks after Elena died, Dr. Rodriguez had adopted Kaiser from that same shelter. Elena was the one who processed Kaiser's adoption, the shelter director confirmed over the phone. She had been working with him for months, getting him ready for the right family. She said he was special, that he needed someone who would understand. His gift. Dr. Martinez felt dizzy as the pieces fell into place. Elena Vasquez hadn't just been a random nurse who died in an accident. She had been Kaiser's first rescuer, his first real family. The final piece of the puzzle came from Elena's personal belongings, which had been stored in the hospital basement. Among her things was a journal filled with notes about all the dogs she had helped over the years. The last entry, written just 1 day before her fatal car accident, was about Kaiser. "This dog sees more than we realize. He understands love in even ways that go beyond the physical world. Whoever adopts him will discover that some bonds can never be broken, not even by death." Dr. Martinez ran back upstairs to find Dr. Rodriguez and Kaiser. When she shared what she had discovered, the crowd fell completely silent. "You mean Elena saved Kaiser before I ever met him?" Dr. Rodriguez asked, tears streaming down her face. "More than that," Dr. Martinez said softly. "Elena handpicked you to adopt him. The shelter director said she waited months for the right person to come along. When you showed up, Elena told the staff you were perfect for Kaiser." Kaiser seemed to understand what was being said. He moved between Dr. Rodriguez and Dr. Martinez, his intelligent eyes looking back and forth between them. But there was still one more mystery to solve. Who had been visiting Kaiser during the night shifts, using Elena's deactivated badge? Captain Rodriguez had been reviewing more security footage, while Dr. Martinez investigated Elena's records. What he found was impossible to believe. "Doctor, you need to see this," he said, his voice shaking. He showed them enhanced video from the hospital's backup cameras. The footage clearly showed someone in scrubs approaching Kaiser in the middle of the night. The person moved with purpose, knowing exactly where to go and how to avoid the main security cameras. They brought Kaiser food and water, spoke to him softly, and seemed to give him comfort during his vigil. But when the video was enhanced and brightened, the impossible became clear. The person visiting Kaiser looked exactly like Elena Vasquez. The crowd gasped. Several people started crying. Others began praying. The implications were too overwhelming to process. "That's impossible," Dr. Rodriguez whispered. "Elena died 8 months ago, but the video evidence was undeniable. Someone who looked exactly like Elena Vasquez had been caring for Kaiser during his 3-day vigil, using her old hospital badge to access the building." Dr. Martinez studied the footage frame by frame. The person's movements, their height, their build, everything matched Elena Vasquez's employee photo perfectly. But it couldn't be real. "There has to be an explanation," Dr. Martinez said, though her voice lacked conviction. "Maybe someone who looks like her, someone who—" She stopped talking when she noticed something else in the video. The person visiting Kaiser wasn't just bringing him food and water. They were communicating with him, giving him what appeared to be specific instructions, and Kaiser was responding like he recognized them completely. Father Santos, who had been watching the video over Dr. Martinez's shoulder, spoke up quietly. "Sometimes love is so strong that it finds a way to continue even after death." Elena's connection to Kaiser, her promise to protect him, maybe that bond was powerful enough to— He didn't finish the sentence, but everyone understood what he meant. As the evening grew darker, more impossible things began happening. Kaiser started behaving differently around Dr. Rodriguez. While still loving and loyal, he seemed to be trying to tell her something important. He kept walking toward a specific part of the hospital, the cardiac wing where heart surgeries were performed. When Dr. Rodriguez tried to lead him away, Kaiser would resist gently but firmly. "It's like he's trying to show me something," Dr. Rodriguez told Dr. Martinez. "But I don't understand what." That's when Dr. Martinez remembered something crucial from Elena's file. Elena Vasquez had been an organ donor. After her death, her organs had been successfully transplanted to save other people's lives. "Oh my God," Dr. Martinez whispered. Elena's heart was transplanted after she died. And the recipient— She ran to her computer, checking organ recipient records. What she found made her knees weak. The person who received Elena's heart is a patient here at St. Mary's Hospital. She was admitted 3 days ago with complications. Kaiser hadn't come to St. Mary's just to wait for Dr. Rodriguez. He had come because part of Elena Vasquez was here, and she was in danger. Dr. Martinez ran through the hospital hallways with Dr. Rodriguez and Kaiser close behind her. The German Shepherd seemed to know exactly where they were going, leading them straight to the cardiac wing on the 4th floor. "Room 412, Dr. Martinez said breathlessly, checking her computer tablet. "Sarah Chen. She received Elena's heart. 8 months ago, she's been having rejection problems." They burst through the door to find a young woman lying in bed, connected to multiple machines. Her face was pale and her breathing was shallow. The heart monitors showed irregular rhythms that made Dr. Martinez's own heart skip. "How long has she been like this?" Dr. Rodriguez asked the duty nurse. "She took a turn for the worse about 3 hours ago," Nurse Williams replied. "We've been adjusting her anti-rejection medications, but nothing seems to be working." Kaiser walked slowly to Sarah's bedside. He sniffed the air carefully, then gently placed his massive head on the bed, right next to her chest. Sarah's eyes fluttered open. Who is this beautiful dog?" she whispered weakly. "This is Kaiser," Dr. Rodriguez said softly. "He's been waiting outside for 3 days. We think he came here because of you." Sarah looked confused. "Because of me? But I don't know any dogs. I've never really liked animals much." Dr. Martinez pulled up a chair. "Sarah, we need to tell you something important. The heart beating in your chest belonged to a woman named Elena Vasquez. She died 8 months ago in a car accident." Sarah's eyes widened. "Elena? I've been dreaming about someone named Elena for months. A woman in scrubs who's always surrounded by dogs." Kaiser seemed to understand that Sarah was awake. He lifted his head and looked directly into her eyes with the same intense stare he had used during his vigil. Sarah gasped. "I know those eyes," she whispered. "I've seen them in my dreams. This dog, he's been trying to tell me something." Dr. Rodriguez sat on the other side of the bed. Elena rescued Kaiser when he was a puppy. She saved him from the streets and found him a loving home. She had a special gift with German Shepherds. As if responding to Elena's name, Kaiser gently placed one paw on Sarah's arm. The heart monitor, which had been showing dangerous irregular patterns, suddenly began to stabilize. "That's impossible," breathed Dr. Martinez, watching the monitors. "Her heart rhythm is improving." Nurse Williams checked the machines twice. "All her vital signs are getting better. Blood pressure is normalizing. Oxygen levels are rising." Sarah looked at Kaiser with wonder. "Ever since my transplant, I've had these strange feelings, like someone else's memories were mixed in with mine. I started volunteering at animal shelters, even though I'd never liked dogs before." She paused, tears rolling down her cheeks. "I kept having dreams about a woman who loved German Shepherds more than anything. She was always trying to save them, always trying to help them find homes." Dr. Rodriguez felt chills run down her arms. That was Elena. She spent every weekend at the downtown animal shelter, working with abandoned dogs. "There's more," Sarah continued. "3 days ago, I started feeling like something was wrong, not with my body, but with my heart. Like someone was calling to me, trying to tell me something important." Kaiser moved closer to Sarah, resting his chin on the bed near her heart. His breathing synchronized with hers, as if they were connected in some invisible way. Dr. Martinez checked Sarah's medical chart on her tablet. "According to your records, your rejection episode started getting worse exactly 3 days ago, the same day Kaiser began his vigil outside." "You mean this dog somehow knew I was in trouble?" Sarah asked in amazement. "Dogs can sense chemical changes in the human body that our machines can't detect," Dr. Rodriguez explained. "If Elena's heart was in distress, Kaiser might have felt it somehow." But there was something even more amazing happening. As Kaiser stayed close to Sarah, her condition continued to improve rapidly. The dangerous heart rhythms disappeared completely. Her color returned to normal. The machines showed readings that amazed the medical staff. "This is medically impossible," Dr. Martinez whispered. "Her anti-rejection levels have been dangerously high for days. But now, they're perfect." Dr. Rodriguez had tears in her eyes as she watched Kaiser work his magic. Elena always said Kaiser was special. She wrote in her journal that he could see love in ways that go beyond the physical world. Sarah reached out with a weak hand to pet Kaiser's soft fur. "I can feel her," she whispered. "Elena, she's here somehow. In this dog. In my heart. In this room." The heart monitor showed the strongest, most regular rhythm it had displayed in weeks. Sarah's breathing became deep and peaceful. The machines that had been beeping warnings all day now hummed contentedly. Elena made a promise before she died, Dr. Martinez told Sarah. She asked that someone take care of the German Shepherds at the animal shelter. She said they needed love more than anything else. Sarah nodded weakly. "That's why I started volunteering there after my surgery. I couldn't explain it, but I felt like I had to help dogs, especially German Shepherds." Kaiser seemed to understand that his mission was almost complete. He looked back and forth between Sarah and Dr. Rodriguez, as if making sure they both understood something important. "What is it, boy?" Dr. Rodriguez asked. "What are you trying to tell us?" Kaiser walked to the window and back to the bed 3 times. Then he sat down between Sarah and Dr. Rodriguez, looking at both of them expectantly. "I think he's telling us we belong together," Sarah said with a small smile. "Elena's heart in me, Elena's dog with you, and all of us connected by her love." Dr. Martinez watched in amazement as Sarah's vital signs continued to improve. "You know what this means, don't you? Kaiser didn't just come here to find Dr. Rodriguez. He came to save your life." The room fell silent except for the steady, strong beating of Sarah's heart, Elena's heart, on the monitor. "Elena's love didn't end when she died," Dr. Rodriguez said softly. "It transformed. She used Kaiser to bring us all together, to make sure her heart would be safe." Kaiser laid down beside the bed, finally relaxed for the first time in 4 days. His vigil was complete. Elena's heart was beating strongly. Dr. Rodriguez was safe, and 3 lives had been connected by love that transcended death itself. But the most amazing part was still to come. Sarah looked at Dr. Rodriguez with eyes that seemed older and wiser than her years. "There's something else Elena wants us to know. Something about why this all happened now." Kaiser's ears perked up, and he looked toward the door as if expecting someone else to arrive. The final piece of Elena's plan was about to unfold. Just as Sarah spoke those words, the hospital room door opened quietly. A woman in her 50s walked in, carrying a small bouquet of flowers. She had kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. "Excuse me," she said softly. "I'm looking for Sarah Chen. The nurses said she was in this room." Sarah turned her head weakly. "That's me, but I don't think we've met." The woman smiled gently. "My name is Maria Santos. I received Elena Vasquez's kidney 8 months ago. I've been having the strangest dreams about this room, about a German shepherd, and about you." Dr. Martinez felt her mouth drop open. Another organ recipient, another piece of Elena's puzzle. "I woke up this morning with the strongest feeling that I needed to come here today," Maria continued. "I live in Seattle, but I drove 3 hours because something was telling me it was important." Kaiser stood up immediately and walked to Maria. He sniffed her gently, then sat down at her feet with his tail wagging slowly. It was clear he recognized something about her. "Oh my goodness," Maria whispered, kneeling to pet Kaiser. "You're the dog from my dreams. I've been seeing you for months." Before anyone could respond, the door opened again. This time, a young man in his 30s entered, looking confused but determined. "Sorry to bother you," he said. "I'm David Kim. I'm looking for a patient named Sarah Chen. I know this sounds crazy, but I had to come here today." Sarah's eyes widened. "3 visitors in 1 day? And I don't know any of you?" David stepped forward nervously. "I received a liver transplant 8 months ago. The donor was Elena Vasquez. Ever since then, I've been having dreams about German shepherds and a woman who looks just like you." Dr. Rodriguez looked at Dr. Martinez in amazement. "All of Elena's organ recipients are here, today, right now." Kaiser moved between all 3 people, Sarah, Maria, and David, as if greeting old friends. His behavior was calm but purposeful, like a host welcoming guests to an important gathering. "This can't be a coincidence," Dr. Martinez said, checking her tablet quickly. "Elena donated her heart, both kidneys, and her liver. That's 4 recipients total." "Where's the 4th?" Dr. Rodriguez asked. As if summoned by her question, an elderly man appeared in the doorway. He was using a walker, but moved with dignity and purpose. "I'm looking for Sarah Chen's room," he said in a gentle voice. "My name is Robert Williams. I received corneal transplants from Elena Vasquez 8 months ago." The room fell completely silent. All 4 of Elena's organ recipients were now together, in the same place, with Kaiser sitting in the center like a furry ambassador. "How is this possible?" Sarah whispered. "How did you all know to come here today?" Maria spoke first. "I've been dreaming about all of you for months. In my dreams, we were always together in a hospital room with this beautiful German shepherd." David nodded. "Same here. I kept seeing faces I didn't recognize, but they felt familiar somehow. And always this dog, always trying to bring us together." Robert adjusted his new glasses, the ones that let him see clearly for the first time in years, thanks to Elena's corneas. "I started having visions 3 days ago. Clear as day, I could see this room, this dog, and all of your faces." Dr. Martinez was documenting everything frantically. This suggests that cellular memory extends far beyond individual cases. Elena's consciousness, her love, her purpose, it somehow survived in all of you. Kaiser seemed to understand that his gathering was complete. He moved to the center of the room and sat down, looking at each person in turn. Then he did something extraordinary. He howled softly, a sound full of longing and love. "He's calling to her," Sarah said with sudden understanding. "To Elena. He's letting her know we're all here." The room grew very quiet. Outside, storm clouds that had been gathering all day began to clear, letting afternoon sunlight stream through the windows. Maria felt something shift inside her chest. "I can feel her," she whispered. "Elena, she's happy. She's complete somehow." David wiped tears from his eyes. "She wanted us to meet. That's why Kaiser made this incredible journey. Elena needed all of us to be together." Dr. Rodriguez knelt beside Kaiser and hugged him tight. "You brilliant, amazing dog! You didn't just save Sarah's life, you brought Elena's family back together." Robert sat down carefully in a chair. "I never thought about it before. But we are a family now, aren't we? Connected by Elena's gift to all of us." Sarah's heart monitor showed the strongest, steadiest rhythm it had displayed in months. Her color was completely normal now, and she was sitting up in bed without any help. "Look at this," Dr. Martinez said, checking Sarah's latest blood work on her tablet. "Her anti-rejection levels are perfect, better than they've been since her surgery." But the miracles weren't finished. Maria checked her own recent test results on her phone. "My kidney function tests came back yesterday. The doctors said they were the best numbers they'd ever seen." David looked amazed. "My liver enzyme levels have been perfect for the past 3 days. My doctor called it remarkable improvement." Robert touched his glasses gently. "And my vision has been getting clearer every day since the dreams started." Kaiser moved from person to person, receiving gentle pets and quiet words of gratitude. His job was done, but his presence continued to bring comfort to Elena's extended family. "Elena was a healer," Dr. Rodriguez said softly. "She saved dogs at the animal shelter. She cared for patients here at the hospital. And even after death, she's still healing people through Kaiser." Father Santos appeared in the doorway, having heard about the miraculous gathering. "Sometimes love is so powerful that it creates its own reality," he said quietly. "Elena's love for all of you, and for Kaiser, was strong enough to reach across the boundary between life and death. The afternoon sun filled the room with golden light. Kaiser yawned contentedly and stretched out on the floor, finally allowing himself to rest completely. "What happens now?" Maria asked. "Do we go back to our separate lives and pretend this didn't happen?" Sarah shook her head. "Elena brought us together for a reason. We're connected now, all of us, even Kaiser." Dr. Rodriguez smiled. "Kaiser belongs with all of us. He's not just my dog anymore. He's Elena's gift to her entire family." Over the next hour, they made plans. Maria would relocate from Seattle to Portland. David would transfer his job from California. Robert, who lived alone, would move closer to the group. They would meet regularly, support each other, and honor Elena's memory together. "We should start a foundation," Sarah suggested. "The Elena Vasquez Foundation, to help rescue dogs and support organ recipients." "Kaiser could be our ambassador," Dr. Rodriguez added. "He could visit hospitals, comfort other patients, show people that love truly can overcome anything." As evening approached, the Impossible family prepared to leave the hospital together. Sarah was being discharged with a clean bill of health. Her heart, Elena's heart, was stronger than it had ever been. Kaiser stood by the window, looking out at the parking lot where he had maintained his vigil just that morning. His work here was finished, but his new life was just beginning. Dr. Freddy Martinez watched them all leave together. 4 organ recipients, 1 heart surgeon, and 1 extraordinary German shepherd. They were living proof that love doesn't end with death. It transforms, it grows, and sometimes it performs miracles. But Kaiser's story wasn't quite over yet. 6 months after Kaiser's miraculous vigil, St. Mary's Hospital had become famous around the world. People traveled from every continent to see the place where love had conquered death, where a German shepherd had brought impossible healing to 4 people, connected by one woman's generous heart. The Elena Vasquez Center for Healing and Hope occupied an entire wing of the hospital. Kaiser had his own office with a comfortable bed, food bowls, and toys donated by children from around the globe. His official title was Chief Therapy Officer, but everyone just called him the Miracle Dog. Every morning, Kaiser made his rounds through the hospital with Dr. Rodriguez, who had become the center's director. They visited heart patients waiting for transplants, families making difficult decisions about organ donation, and anyone who needed the special comfort that only Kaiser could provide. "He knows exactly who needs him most," observed Nurse Janet, watching Kaiser pause outside room 237. "Before we even get the test results back, Kaiser can tell which patients are struggling." Inside room 237, a 10-year-old boy named Tommy was waiting for a heart transplant. He had been scared and sad for weeks, refusing to talk to doctors or even his parents. But when Kaiser walked into his room, something magical happened. "Is this the famous dog?" Tommy whispered, his eyes lighting up for the first time since his admission. Kaiser approached the bed slowly, gently placing his head near Tommy's hand. The boy smiled and began petting the soft fur. Kaiser traveled 1,400 miles to save someone he loved, Dr. Rodriguez told Tommy. "Sometimes love gives us the strength to do impossible things." Tommy nodded seriously. "My mom says someone else has to die before I can get a new heart. That makes me feel sad for them." Kaiser seemed to understand. He looked directly into Tommy's eyes with the same intense, loving stare he had used during his vigil. Somehow, without words, Kaiser communicated that life and death and love were all connected in beautiful ways. The person who gives you their heart, Dr. Rodriguez explained gently, will live on in you, just like Elena lives on in my friend, Sarah, and in Maria, David, and Robert. After they left Tommy's room, Kaiser led Dr. Rodriguez to the Organ Donation Counseling Center. Sarah Chen was there, talking to a family who had just lost their teenage daughter in a car accident. "I know this is the hardest decision you'll ever make," Sarah was saying, her hand resting over her heart. "Elena's heart. But organ donation gave me a second chance at life. Your daughter could save up to 8 people." The grieving parents listened carefully. They had read about Kaiser's story, about how Elena's organs had created a new family bound by love and hope. Will we be able to meet the people who receive her organs?" the mother asked through her tears. Sarah smiled gently. "Only if you want to. But I can tell you that receiving Elena's heart didn't just save my life. It gave me a purpose. Your daughter's gifts will do the same for others." Kaiser approached the family quietly, offering silent comfort. The teenage daughter had loved dogs, and somehow Kaiser seemed to know this. He sat beside the grieving father, offering his presence, without demanding anything in return. 20 minutes later, the family signed the donation papers. Their daughter would save 5 lives. The Elena Vasquez Foundation had grown beyond anyone's imagination. Maria Santos ran the organization from Portland, coordinating rescue efforts for German Shepherds across the Pacific Northwest. David Kim managed the website, which had become a gathering place for organ recipients and their families worldwide. Robert Williams, whose sight had been restored by Elena's corneas, volunteered as a photographer, documenting every rescue, every reunion, every life saved. His pictures of Kaiser at work had been published in National Geographic and Time magazine. Elena would be so proud, Dr. Rodriguez told the foundation board during their monthly meeting. "We've placed over 200 German Shepherds in loving homes, and we've helped increase organ donation rates by 30% in Oregon." But Kaiser's most important work happened quietly, away from cameras and reporters. He had developed an uncanny ability to sense when organ recipients were having problems. 3 times in 6 months, he had alerted doctors to rejection episodes before blood tests could detect them. It's like he's connected to some universal network of transplanted organs, Dr. Martinez explained to a conference of transplant surgeons. "Kaiser seems to know when any organ recipient in our hospital is in distress." The medical community was baffled, but couldn't argue with the results. Patient outcomes at St. Mary's had improved dramatically since Kaiser began his work. Other hospitals started requesting visits from the famous German Shepherd. Kaiser's travels took him across the country. In Boston, he comforted a family deciding whether to donate their son's organs after a skiing accident. In Chicago, he helped a kidney recipient overcome severe depression. In Miami, he somehow sensed that a liver transplant patient was developing complications 3 days before doctors detected them. "He's not just a therapy dog," said Dr. Patricia Summers, who had been studying Kaiser for months. "He's become a bridge between the living and the dead, between donors and recipients, between despair and hope." But perhaps Kaiser's most remarkable case came on a snowy December day in Portland. A young woman named Jessica arrived at St. Mary's emergency room after collapsing at work. She had no identification, no family with her, and was unconscious. Kaiser was making his usual rounds when he suddenly stopped outside Jessica's room. He began whining and pawing at the door, more agitated than anyone had ever seen him. "What is it, boy?" Dr. Rodriguez asked, opening the door. Kaiser rushed to Jessica's bedside and immediately began his gentle examination, sniffing around her chest, looking into her face, placing his paw on her arm. Then he did something he had never done before. He howled. The sound was haunting, beautiful, and unmistakably urgent. Within minutes, Dr. Martinez and the entire cardiac team had arrived. "Her heart rhythm is failing," Dr. Martinez announced after checking the monitors. "We need to prep for emergency surgery." But as they worked to save Jessica's life, Kaiser's behavior revealed something extraordinary. When they checked her medical records, they discovered she had received Elena's second kidney, the one that hadn't gone to Maria Santos. Elena had 4 major organs, Dr. Rodriguez realized: heart to Sarah, liver to David, 1 kidney to Maria, and 1 kidney to Jessica. Kaiser had somehow known that the 5th member of Elena's family was in danger. His connection to Elena's organs had guided him to save another life. Jessica recovered fully, and when she was strong enough, she met Sarah, Maria, David, and Robert. The Elena family was complete at last. On the anniversary of Kaiser's vigil, St. Mary's Hospital held a celebration. Hundreds of people gathered on the front steps where Kaiser had maintained his faithful watch. Tommy, the 10-year-old boy, was there with his new heart beating strongly. The family, whose daughter's organs had saved 5 lives, attended with pictures of their beautiful girl. Kaiser sat in the same spot where his vigil had begun, but this time he was surrounded by love, gratitude, and hope. Dr. Rodriguez stood beside him, her hand resting on his head. "A year ago, this remarkable dog taught us that love doesn't end with death," she told the crowd. "Elena Vasquez may be gone, but her love lives on in every organ recipient, every rescued dog, every family who chooses to give the gift of life." Kaiser looked up at Dr. Rodriguez with those same intelligent, loving eyes that had captivated the IA world. His vigil had ended, but his mission would continue for the rest of his life. As the sun set over Portland, Kaiser stood and walked toward the hospital entrance. He had work to do, hearts to heal, families to comfort, and Elena's legacy of love to carry forward. The German Shepherd, who had sat outside a hospital for 3 days, had become a symbol of hope for the entire world. And somewhere, in the space between life and death, Elena Vasquez smiled. Kaiser's vigil was over, but his real work had just begun. We'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment below and tell us your city or country. It's amazing to connect with people from all around the world who believe in the power of love and kindness. If this story touched your heart, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more incredible true stories that will inspire, amaze, and restore your faith in the beautiful connections between all living things. And don't keep this story to yourself. Share it with your friends and family. In a world that sometimes feels divided, stories like Kaiser's remind us that love, compassion, and hope are universal languages that unite us all. Let's spread more kindness and awareness together, one story at a time. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next incredible story.